Today we're making liver and onions.
You're watching the Bear Pantry Show.
So here's how Joe makes liver and onions. See how the liver comes like in these whole pieces? He's going to show us right now. Let him get it with the tongs. Some people will cook it whole like that, but Joe doesn't choose to do it that way, okay? He will chop it up into pieces. And he did some preparation before we got started. He washed off the liver with a little bit of distilled white vinegar. And so now he's just going to get it chopped up into smaller pieces, and then we're going to move over to the stove. Okay, before he starts chopping, he wants us to see that little piece right there. Show us, Joe, with your finger. Show us the little piece. See that piece right there in the middle? He calls it like a thin layer of film or skin. He always peels that off. So that's what he's doing here. I don't know the purpose behind that, but this is how he does it, okay? And the reason that he's using this wooden cutting board rather than the glass one for meat is because it's gonna chop and make too much of a noise with the mic. And you guys know I don't like to narrate my show. I basically like to say it as it's going along, because I want you guys to feel like you're here with me in the kitchen, okay? So let him get those little films peeled off, and then we're going to start chopping. I want you guys to see the film right there? That's what he's taking off, okay? That thin film. He says other people will cook it with that on, but he hates it with that on, so that's what he's peeling off. Okay, see how small a piece Joe is chopping it into? It's like minces. It's gonna be minced liver by the time it's done. But this is how he does it, all right? So of course, because we're making liver and onions, we have Joe over there cutting the onion, okay? And he's doing dices. I've seen some people make liver and onions and they do slices of onions, but he's doing dices, so you could do it whichever way you think would be more pleasing to you. But he's just dicing some onions on the liver right now. He hasn't put any other season on it, no salt, pepper, anything else. We're gonna see what he does right now. So he's putting a little bit of salt. And he's using the powder recado. And for those of you who keep asking what recado is, another name for it is achiote, okay? Maybe that's what you would know it by in your town. And it comes like a piece of clay most of the times, but now they make it in a powder form. And of course, if you don't have this, it can be replaced with paprika or paprika. I just happen to not like the taste of paprika, so that's why we use this all the time. And you can also pick it up from my dad's website at bluefield-prod.com. He's putting some black pepper. And this is all he's basically going to put on the liver. And he's going to work it in. You know, I think it looks pretty gross. And I know there are a lot of people that doesn't like liver and onions, but this is a menu that used to be served a lot in Belize when I was a little kid, so I'm trying to remember all these recipes from when we were little. And Joe is the one that actually knows how to cook this. I always tell you guys that Joe taught me how to make 90% of what I know, and so he's the one that decided to help us out today before he goes into work. So Joe put a little bit of oil in his skillet right here. And he's going to lift up the edge just to show us the oil. See, just a little bit more than a quarter cup of oil he put in here. We're not going to deep fry this, okay? So he's using what we call a pot spoon, or over here in America they call it a serving spoon. And he's going to spoon the liver into the skillet with a little bit of oil. And he's going to allow it to cook. And I'll tell you guys how long it cooks for, because liver doesn't cook for too long, okay? Now I know Joe diced the onions, but I'm thinking towards the end for me, I'd like to put a few slices in there, especially how it'll show up on the picture when I take the picture for the thumbnail. And plus I like a lot of onions, so I'm thinking towards the end we'll do that, but for right now, it's only been about 30 seconds that it's been in the pot. He's gonna stir it to make sure it gets brown all over, and then we're gonna allow it to cook for a little bit. So that's been going for about a minute, and all I'm gonna do is add a little bit of water. Okay, so that amount of water that I put was the only water that we put. Okay, and it's been 10 minutes, and pretty much the liver is done. So I want Joe to go ahead and put a few slices of onions in there for me. Just enough to let it saute, because I don't like my onions overcooked. I'm going to put a little drop of water in there. It would have been done, and we would have not needed any more water if I didn't decide that I wanted the sliced onions, alright? So remember, if you want onions sliced and not diced, you could do it that way from the get-go. So, but Joe likes it one way and I like it one way. And isn't that the story of a family? You know, pretty much nobody really likes the thing the same way. And that's just going to go maybe a couple more minutes just to let the onions cook a little bit. And then we're going to serve you up some liver and onions. So here's our finished product. And this is our liver and onions. This plate is not a big plate, okay? It's a salad plate. So we didn't get a whole lot. And that's okay because a lot of people in here don't eat liver. And I made Creole bread yesterday. Look how I sliced it, guys. I was a pro at slicing the slices of Creole bread. So Joe's going to eat this for breakfast before he heads into work. And normally this would be served over white rice, but we choose to serve it over with bread today, okay? To purchase copies of my book, just visit my website at bearpantryshow.com and click on the store tab. So I definitely had a lot of fun making this menu today, especially since I didn't have to be in the kitchen, right? I'm so grateful to have Joe. Every now and again he'll offer to come and make one of his specialties, and this is definitely one of his specialties. You know, I always share with you guys that Joe taught me how to make like 90% of what I know how to do, okay? And you know, Joe doesn't get a whole lot of the credit sometimes because I'm always seen in front of the camera, but recently when we went to Belize, Joe was right there with me on every one of those interviews that I did. I did 2 television interviews, 1 radio, and 1 newspaper interview. And he was there with me for every interview. He would sit outside in a little hot room if that's where they wanted him to sit. If they brought him inside the studio, he'd sit inside and he'd smile sweetly at me just to keep me motivated in case I looked nervous or anything. You know, he would just be there as a support system, and that's what he does here. You know, he'll make up a lot of these menus and he'll say, here, try this. Let's do that. Let's not do it this way. You know, he's really good at inventing some of these recipes that we're trying here. Anyways, the kids too. The kids help out a lot. Everybody has a job to do in here, and I'm so grateful to have them on board. And I wanted to say thank you, in case I haven't done so already in one of my other videos. I wanted to say thank you to my little friend Tanya that actually got me the 2 TV interviews. She worked tirelessly. This is a young lady that I didn't know before I went to Belize. I met her through her uncle, and she didn't even know me, and she gave of her time to make sure that I got those TV interviews, and she was right there with me when I did both those interviews. She is so awesome. Anyways, you guys, please go ahead and like the video. You know, it helps a whole lot. Pick up the book, share the show with your friends and family for me, and stay safe. Until I see you again, take care.